Hello, welcome to Kirsty's Pilates in Paradise. I am here in Barros in the wonderful Maldives, and I am going to bring you your band on the sand workouts. This is just quite a short workout on the floor. If you've got any sort of band, that would be great. Mine's quite long, but it doesn't matter. As always, if you've got any injuries or issues, please be careful, don't hurt yourself, and take it at your own speed. I hope you enjoy a band on the sand. So I'm starting, not forgetting of course to be lifting up your pelvic floor and squeezing in your tummy as always, and don't forget to breathe. So I'm starting with my band around my feet. I'm going to do some roll-ups. So I've just chosen a few exercises that you can incorporate a band in just for a little bit of a workout. So sitting up nice and tall, your spine is nice and long. You're going to tuck the bottom under and curl down. I'm going to do very, very small ones to start with and then come back up again. So tucking under and then coming back up. So you want to breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you tuck under. You can breathe in there and breathe out as you come back up. Tucking under. Okay, I'm going to make those a little bit bigger. Tucking under, squeezing the tummy in. Sitting up nice and tall. Tucking under. You're trying to get some mobility in the bottom of your spine, the lower part of your spine. Also working your core muscles, so squeeze the tummy in, nice and tight. Nice deep breathing. So we can add in the arms. So you can take the arms out to the sides to work the arms a little bit as well. Tucking under, squeezing the tummy in. Okay. Nice and tall. And then I'm going to add in a twist. So you can take your elbow back as you twist. Tummy's nice and tight. So make them as small as you need to. If you want to make them bigger, that is fine. Breathing. Let's do some with the arms again. Opening out and squeezing the tummy in. Breathing. And then the twists. Wonderful. If your band is long enough, you can do some triceps. So taking the band behind you, keeping the elbows high, straightening the arms behind you. Tummy's tight. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to lie down now. So lying down in your nice neutral position. Sorry, I'm on a little bit of a slope, so it won't be perfect. Pelvis is nice and flat. Your ribs are relaxed, shoulders are relaxed. Pelvic floor's lifted, tummy is squeezed in. I'm going to take my band around my right foot. So these are exercises that you can do without a band, but I'm going to do them adding in the band today. So this is a single leg circle. So I'm going to start really small, keeping the tummy squeezed in, just doing very little circles with the legs. So the movement is coming from your hip, and you're trying not to let this other knee move. Trying to keep this knee nice and still, pelvis nice and flat, trying not to let the pelvis tilt at all. If you can manage it, you can make these movements bigger as long as this other leg isn't moving. So I'm closing my eyes because the sun is quite bright here. And then back the other way. I'm doing the easy version here. If you wanted to make it harder, you could have this leg lifted in a tabletop position with your knee above your hip and your shin parallel to the floor. It'd be even harder to keep things still, and you'll be working your core muscles a little bit more, so it's up to you which one you want to do. I'm going to do the easy one here. That's your single leg circle. I'm going to do the other leg. So this leg's nice and straight, little circles. You could do this high up, or you could take it further down, do it down here. If you do it further down, it's going to work your core muscles a little bit more. If you do it up here, you can of course make the circles bigger, and it will be working more on the mobility in your hip. So this knee is nice and still, not letting it wobble. Pelvis is nice and flat, not letting it tilt at all. Little circles one way and back. Oops, I forgot which way. Back the other way. It's quite difficult to keep this knee still. And the harder option again, lift the leg up into tabletop and it will work your tummy a little bit more. Nice deep breathing. Lovely. I'm not doing them too big. You can make them much bigger if you can keep your pelvis still. Okay, that's your single leg circle. So, similarly, I'm going to do a single leg raise. So, starting with the leg down, squeezing the tummy and keeping the pelvis nice and flat. So you're just lifting and lowering this leg. Keep this knee nice and still. Nice deep breathing. So you could make it higher to get more mobility, but really try and keep this knee still. These exercises can be quite nice if you've got knee problems or hip problems, quite gentle with the band. You've got a bit of support, so it's not as hard as if you were doing it without the band. So good if you had arthritis of the hip or the knee. Just deep breathing. We'll swap sides. Oops, I forgot the harder option. So this is the nicer, gentle version. The harder option, lift the other leg up. That's quite hard for my back. Do that one if you want to work your core even harder. I'm going to do it with it down. So the movement is coming from your hip. The leg is nice and straight. Lifting and lowering, trying to keep the pelvis flat and the knee nice and still. And you're breathing nice and deeply. Lovely. Okay. And I'm going to do a side lying sequence. So band is around your top foot. You can relax it down on your arm, or you can prop yourself up or on a pillow, whatever's comfortable for you. Top leg is nice and straight, underneath knee is bent. If you tuck the band underneath you, you're going to be working a little bit harder. Hips are stacked, tummy's squeezed in. If you want to work even harder, lift your waist up off of the floor so you've got a gap here. You're going to keep this leg nice and straight, so you're lifting and lowering this leg. You can hold on to the band if you need to, but the knee should hold it in place. So they're quite small movements, don't have to be big. If you did want to make it even harder, angle your leg back a little bit behind you. That makes the muscles work a little bit more. You're working your glutes here, so of course another exercise that's really, really good for your hips, arthritis of the hip or any issues. Nice deep breathing. If you wanted to make it even harder, you could turn your toes down towards the floor. Makes it a little bit harder. Don't forget keeping the tummy squeezed in nice and tight. And of course the pelvic floor is lifted. And you're breathing. Okay, we can do circles, so tiny little circles. If you can keep this waist lifted, then that's brilliant. So circles, and then back the other way. So if the leg is angled back behind you a little bit, and if the toes are pointed down, it makes it a little bit harder. Breathing. Beautiful. Okay, let me do this one. So I'm taking the band out from underneath the knee. The leg is going to go forward. You're lifting it up, back down, and then back to where you started. So leg comes forward, lift it up, back down. So as you lift the leg, try to keep the hips stacked, try to let the hips roll back. Nothing should be moving, everything's nice and still. Breathing nice and deeply. Really, really good for mobility in your hip and for working the muscles around your hip. And nice deep breathing. Of course, you could do more of these if you wanted to. These ones are quite hard. If you really, really work at squeezing the tummy and lifting up the waist, keep the movements nice and precise, it's going to be hard work. I think that's enough on this side. So I'm going to swap sides. Oops. Okay. So other side, lying down. Lying down either on your arm or propping yourself up. Bandage around your top foot. Tuck in underneath that knee. And try not to look at the sun. So hips are stacked. Waist lifted if you can manage that. You're lifting and lowering. Breathing nice and deeply. So if you wanted to make it harder, angle that leg back a little bit behind you. And if you wanted to make it even harder, turn the toes down towards the floor. Wonderful. So then we've got our circles, tiny little circles. Movement is coming from your hip. The leg is nice and straight. Leg angled back and toes pointing down to make it harder. And then back the other way. Nice deep breathing. Wonderful. Okay, this is the last one. So take the band out from underneath you. Hips are stacked, tummy's tight. You're taking the leg in front of you, lifting it up, back down, and back to where it started. Keep the hips nice and still. Don't let them tilt. Nice and stacked. You've got a metal pole digging through your hips, pinning you to the floor. Lovely. Nice deep breathing. Okay, this is your last exercise of band on the sand. 2 more of these. Wonderful. That is it. That was your little sequence of band exercises. Band on the sand. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the lovely view. Thank you.